Welcome back to the Schmoedown Replay, guys. We are the Cinefanatics. My name is Chris Adams.
My name is Robert Adams.
And you are super delayed for some reason there.
Oh, no, I was thrown off because I still hear the music playing because I had the actual video stream open on another window. I was like, wow, that's weird. I've never heard it do that.
Hi, welcome to the Cinefanatics Professionalism Hour. And we are your hosts. Super professional, hyper professional.
Yeah, I try. I give you my best, and then you get mediocre, and that's the way this works. So,
Robert, the adequate Adams.
That should be my name, like from now on. That's like me to a T right there. This is going to be fantastic tonight. I'm super eager. I'm super pumped. I can't believe we managed to make this happen. And right off the bat, I mean, we got 2 guests on this, and I can't think, like, as of right now, the way that this competition is going, the way the tournament is going, I can't think of 2 other people to get for a particular match than these 2. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to bring them on. We got starting with I don't know who you start with. Let's bring them both on. You got Bibbiani's like, I don't know. Bring them both on. We got the Barbarian and Mr. William the Beast Bibbiani. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, gents.
Well, you got your 4 Slurpee. That is awesome.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Hydrated.
Yay, me too.
Cheers.
Oh my god, this is gonna be so much fun. Like, here's the thing, just the possibility of what we're about to do is already like blown my fragile little mind. So
are we gonna turn lead into gold? What are we doing here?
I mean, if we can, that would be fantastic too. I mean, if anyone could do it, it would be this group, I think.
We are alchemists, so
that'd be cool. We haven't had an alchemist at the Schmoedown. Someone should come in. Like, there's ever someone named Al, Al the Alchemist, whatever their last name is. It's a great gimmick, and they can come in and do like magic tricks with potions and things and turn people into
if their last name is Chemist, then it could be Al the Alchemist Chemist.
Yeah, if we can find an Al like chemist, like if we can find that person, they should be in the league, even though they know nothing about movies. I think
we could try to convince James White to change his nickname to the Alchemist next year. And
that'd be cool
because he's the Wizard right now, right? So instead of James the Wizard, just James the Alchemist.
I think the Alchemist has a bit more flavor, but whatever, it's his name. He can do what he wants. James, if you want it, it's yours.
We'll just do another one where they get rid of their first last name, a la the Barbarian, and they just go by the nickname.
The Alchemist.
Yeah. Anyway, we got a fun one tonight. Y'all's match. We got y'all's match tonight. That's why you're here. It's kind of ridiculous otherwise, but I'm excited for this one because the 2 of you are like pretty superstar as far as like knowledge and everything goes. So this is going to be a fun one.
I'm so glad I got to play the Barbarian this year because it's been such a shortened year, and who knew how many matches any of us were going to get to play at all. And I remember when the Barbarian started like hanging around the sets when we were filming in the studio, we had a couple of really nice conversations, and then I saw his opening match and I was like, oh my God. I want to play him so bad right now. Not only is he a really nice human being, but he knows everything, and he's really theatrical. Oh my God, I love this guy. So this is my favorite match that I've gotten to play so far this year, based on that alone. Whether or not it ended however it ended, whether I got no points or whatever, I was just glad I got to play you, man. I'm so excited.
I appreciate that, William, and from my first days in going to matches, Bibbs was very very friendly. We talked, he was just checking it out, and we talked at the the draft / awards ceremony. I got to introduce you to my lovely wife Sonia, talk about I recall telling you how I thought you were robbed for not getting Player of the Year, and when I was before I joined the league, when I was watching the old matches to see trying to test my knowledge against everyone, it's one thing to say, okay, well, I can hang in there, but like I was watching the top level players and saying, okay, these are the people that I need to be able to hang with, and Bibbs, of course, was one of them. So I'm glad that I got prove whether or not I can compete at that top level. So early in my Schmoedown career.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk spoilers yet, so I don't want to talk about how the match ended. Do you guys know what happened? Or I know it's been kind of.
So here's the thing that we kind of want to. I guess we should have talked about this backstage before, but yes. Unfortunately, it sounds like for the most part, this match was kind of spoiled.
Without saying, without giving you away whatever, I feel like though it's only a small percentage of the fan base that watches the all the content that's out there, and so I only recently learned that some of the information had gotten out there. So some people, but even then, it was kind of. I don't think there was an actual spoiler as much as it was.
People figured it out. I think people figured it out. I think that's what happened. And listen, it happens. Yep. It stinks. We had to record so many of these matches like out of order and so long ago. And I think there was, a mix up in terms of what got left in a match, something like that. So I know some people had said that they were spoiled, but I watched like the live chat on the match, and a lot of people had no idea. So that made me really happy.
I think that's how I kind of want to play this for right now. Whether the people who are watching this know the ending or what happens, whether we ourselves, the Cinefanatics, know the ending, let's just forget about that for right now. Because even if we know the ending, we don't know the questions. So I've been at work all day. It's still me and my brother have not watched this match yet. So whether we know how it turns out or not,
you don't know. You don't know how it got there, and that's half the fun.
Yeah, you are in for a treat.
I feel very good about how this match turned out on both of our levels. So I think you're going to enjoy this one.
And here's the thing: I would actually say, like Bibbs, we've seen you for a couple of seasons now. Fantastic player, Barbarian. You're doing so well.
I've seen you for a few matches now. Fantastic player.
For a few matches, just right off the bat, already hitting that higher level. The rest of the Finstock Exchange cannot stop talking about how much you are a fountain of knowledge and supportive of them. So when we saw that it was coming down to this match in the brackets, we're like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be really good. Because inevitably, and Bibbiani, you could probably attest to this, there are times over the course of seasons that you will see people that just come in swinging out of like nowhere type of thing. And typically you would assume it would be pretty safe to assume that you go with like the veterans. The veterans know how to play the game. They know movie knowledge, but you might get someone, whether it's like from the fan leagues or from who knows where, that just come in. And they just like flat out dominate. And there's even more. I'm willing to bet there's still more people out there. We're only at season 7.
Oh yeah, there's so many. Listen, I know so many people who aren't even like connected to the film industry who could do really, really well at this if they had a chance. There's more talent to be discovered, and we're discovering it every year. I think last year we saw the sudden arrival and like, holy cow, isn't he amazing, Kevin Smats. And I think we had a couple other rookies last year that made a huge impression. Brendan Meyer was a rookie last season.
Paloyama, maybe?
Paloyama was another good one. There's others, okay? I didn't mean that. I wasn't trying to forget Paloyama. I was just saying Paloyama feels like a weird case because he's already been belted. It already feels like he's kind of royalty.
Yeah.
I forget sometimes how new he is technically to the league. So there's a lot of people who can absolutely do this. And there's also a lot of people who maybe don't have the most auspicious debut and then they work their way back up.
I'll start the talking fit again.
Okay.
No, I'm okay.
But like, listen, it's marathon, not a sprint. And making a great first impression is wonderful. And obviously that's something the Barbarian did. It's something I did. And then I fell flat on my face in my second match. And I had to work my way back up from like less than nothing because I got this whole overrated kind of reputation and that stank. And so there's a million different ways to do it. But I think what we have here in the Barbarian, without talking about the match, is someone who absolutely wrote a check that he can cash. So I'm really, really excited to share this match with everybody.
Oh, yeah. And real quick, guys, before we get into this match, just remember you can send in questions in the chat. Also, you can send them in through streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. Anything that you send in there will go to us and help us a whole lot. So we would really appreciate any questions that you have. Send them through there. The priority will go there, and then they will go to the chat. So cool. We got that set up. I'd say we just go ahead and jump into the match now and stop this dilly-dallying.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say
I literally do. Dilly-dallying on camera is so much fun.
I just wanted to say that phrase.
I want to say a quick hi to everyone that's in the chat. I see people talking right now. We got an Eric Chan, Tyler, Rockin' Moves with Tyler, and of course we got this Chris. What's this Chris Adams? I've never heard of him. Jeremy Adams, Garth McMurray, Cam.
By the way, Jeremy Adams is not related to us. He's just a really cool person.
We're on Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Garth. I just figured out the ending of The Sixth Sense. Those names scrolling are the people who made the movie.
That's a good gag. I like that gag a lot. Whoever that's your gag. You own that. That's amazing.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah,
that's
that's better than our old gag of I know the ending of Titanic. The ship sank.
Yeah. By the way, again, no spoilers. But if y'all want to spoil, too bad. Someone already did it.
Welcome back to Movie Trivia Show. Welcome back to the ultimate Schmoedown Singles Tournament. I'm Christian Harlow, joined as always by the newsboy Mark Ellis. Listen, Mark, this is
Roger the Shrubberer.
Someone has made a comment on Facebook that like eventually one of these days, Mark's like funny movie reference name is going to be the answer to a question, and it's going to break the game.
I mean, does it get more primitive?
I mean, I
saw that earlier.
I feel like we're going.
I forget which match was. There's a match where there's a question about Back to the Future, and he asked Christian to hum a score, and Christian started humming the score to the Back to the Future.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was terrible. You can't do that.
Like he started humming it and then realized what he was doing, and then like just quickly like took the humming like straight into left field, and like
and it's going to be a strategy.
It was so funny.
The Mercs are making a little run. Perry Nemiroff picking up big 3 points over Mike Kalinowski.
So proud of Perry. Perry did such an amazing job. I think by now her Mark Riley match is aired already, right? I'm not crazy. Yeah. But she put up a really good fight against Mark, and I love how well Mark is doing in the tournament right now. I think for a while now, I think a lot of people were saying that like Ben was overshadowing Mark and that he was like the A player in Who's the Boss. And here's Mark just coming out swinging, kicking butt, and good for him. Like really, just it's awesome to see. While all of these like new players are ascending, there's some older players who have been there from the beginning of the game who are still proving that they've got what it takes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I know, like, you know, he had a little bit of a skid there. You know, they had a rough match against you. It always sucks to get knocked out. But you know, and then he had you know, kind of a shaky showing against Video Drew. But it's like if you look back at the season that he's having, it's like Who's the Boss set the record for most points in a teams match.
Yep.
Mark knocked out at a TKO against Janine, which is no small feat, and she's
formidable.
Good. And I know, she's someone who, especially coming into the season, had a lot of hype about, going to have a huge year. Knocked her out. And if you look at the total points that people have accumulated for the season so far, it's one of the highest points accumulated for the year. So
yeah. So it's interesting because we're the whole the addition of winning points with a faction adds this whole Moneyball quality where you might think that the person who's like a champion like Dan is going to make all the points for your league. He's only playing so often because of it. Like who's made? I think by now, like me and the kid have made more points, but for most of the year, the real rejects who are like our 7th and 8th round picks got most of the points for Quirky Murder for like the first half of the year, and because they worked their butts off and got really, really good at the game and showed how much they always knew. But B, they were the ones who had the opportunity to play. It just happened. It's weird.
And I feel for
They were good because they were still kept together as a team, and they worked so well because they already knew what one another knows. So,
because that is
which can be a crutch. That can actually hurt you because if you know too much about what
is his,
if they're so close, I mean, those guys, I think they live together. Like, they have so many like overlapping skills that sometimes that doesn't help you that much in a teams match because you both know the same stuff.
It's why like a lot of people were always saying that Janine and Silverstrini should be a team, but no, their knowledge is too similar.
Yeah, no, I think that would be a mistake. I mean, I would love to see it. I'm sure they do okay, but like I think they'd be even stronger with other opponents, and we've other players, and I think we've seen that.
We could be in.
Well, no, I think that's part of the reason why Bibbiani, you and the kid, because Am makes such a potent team. And I think that's also, I thought Time Machine was a very potent team last year. I was a little disappointed that Sam didn't reunite them for this team's tournament.
Yeah, me too. But whatever. Listen, there's so many different players and so many people who are going to get mismatched, and they're talking about how there might not be any protected teams next season. And I'm sure like some of the higher ranked teams will do well, and like stay together because they'll be like kept together by their faction manager. But a lot of people are going to get broken up, and it's going to be interesting to see who ends up with who. And that's always exciting. It's like anarchy all over again. Okay,
it's gonna be really fascinating.
We're doing the promo. Let's do the promo.
So a couple of things real quick. Bibbs, did Barbarian defeating Whitney motivate you for this match in any way?
I mean, a little, obviously. Like, it gave me a couple of times I could get to say I get to like avenge Whitney's honor, that kind of thing. But beyond that, no. I mean, it just proved once again just how good he is. Because Whitney, I think he had a really good match against Barbarian, and that was a well-deserved win. And it, just solidified just how hard I actually need to train. And I actually studied real hard for this match. I'm not gonna lie. I don't normally like go out of my way to like really study like new categories and stuff like that because I feel like my knowledge is pretty strong a lot. But this season, I have not had that freedom, and this match was one that really motivated me to study my butt off.
Well, good.
Barbarian, were you excited by the idea of potentially defeating both members of Critically Acclaimed?
I mean,
we have to give you the podcast if that happened.
Yeah, that's how it worked. At the end of the day, I was hopeful. I looked at the bracket and I was hopeful to defeat whoever was in my path, and I saw that it lined up that I would very likely play both halves of Critically Acclaimed, and it's in terms of look, I'm a storyline guy. I like storyline in real sports and in things like professional wrestling, and I look at this like my rookie season tournament run, getting to play both halves of a vaunted team, vaunted like highly respected film critics, made me say, okay, that's a good story right there.
Nice. And the other one real quick. Can Bibbs and Barbarian link arms together and transform into a giant Barbarian?
I think it's the Barbarian.
Yeah, the Barbarian.
Barbarian, I think, rolls off the tongue a little bit. Oh, sorry.
If y'all...
It's close. Try.
If y'all ever get the ability to be on a team together, there's where you go with that.
Oh my god! What I would want to do is Barbarian. Are you familiar with the Barbarian brothers?
Yes, they were along. I mean,
they only had a couple of movies.
Yeah,
they were identical twin bodybuilders who had a couple of films in the late '80s. One of which was just called The Barbarians. Yes, another one was some weird thing with like this brilliant like science genius teenager who's on the run from a government institution, and they've got to like save her, and then in the end she finds a way to hack every like traffic light in the world or something like that. It's real bad, but in any case, Barbarian Brothers would be fun.
Nice.
And then before we roll that promo, I wanted to hi this just because we haven't seen Kayla here before. She said, "Hi everybody, excited to watch two of my favorite Schmoedown competitors." Hello, Kayla.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Kayla.
She must be referring to the Adams brothers, the Cinefanatics. You guys had a match, right?
I have not had a match yet.
He has not had a match.
You should have a match. It's not fair.
Awkward. Awkward.
No.
Well,
Here we go. Let's play this promo.
Wait, Barbarian mentioned it, so we have to drink.
So let me get this straight.
True.
There's a new guy at the Schmoedown.
That tiger
He's
suit.
theatrical. He loves props. He had a perfect debut match. He was swept up immediately by John Roca's faction, and his name begins with a B.
they say we're facing a beast. Well, Elvis and I have faced beasts before.
Hear anyone who's talked about this guy and they say he's the real deal. But it's not an easy match here against Whitney Seibold.
If you want to be the man, you've got to beat the man. And William the Beast Bibbiani is one of the greatest players ever to play this game.
Did you guys get a new me?
We saw your debut match. We also saw what followed.
It's fair.
We saw you crash and burn, struggle to find your footing in this league. And with each battle that we emerged from, we're more resilient and more determined to plow our way to victory.
He brought up a very good point. If one of the mercs plays someone,
Spidey!
the next merc that plays them takes him out. We see the kinks in the armor, we see the kryptonite, we see the issues in gameplay, and that John showed us all the flaws in the Barbarian. Now it almost doesn't even seem fair to sick the beast on him.
I got this whole me thing down. So, yeah, I think I'm just gonna find out what it's like to play me. I bet it's really fun. Kind of annoying.
You're not facing a beast, you're facing a barbarian. We're going to take your critically acclaimed attitudes and your film snobbery, and we're going to wipe the floor with it, and we're going to throw it in the dumpster.
That music.
So good this year. Really, really stepping up their game on those promos.
Yeah, we do a quick pause so we can do the applause for Nerd Chronic.
You know, they're both.
Chronic.
Absolutely.
Yodi,
Totally beautiful.
Chronic, as we coined the last time I was here. Was it? Do you have the Chronic for Chronic there yet? There we go.
Chronic for Chronic.
No, I'm really impressed.
Not that kind of Chronic.
No.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed by what they've been able to pull together, though, because like we're not, for the most part, like planning these promos out together. So I had no idea what Barbarian was doing, and if my silly weird thing would cut with it, and he's making it work beautifully. It's so cool.
Yeah, no, Nerd Chronic is amazing, and like I said, a lot of people have said that he should get the Yodi Award this year. And what I'm saying is, like, you know, I feel like he maybe even surpasses that. Is just the get an award for him because he is that valuable to the league.
Like sometimes the Academy Awards will issue like a special Academy Award for like achievement that has nothing to, it's not about nominations. It's no one can deny what you did. Like when Pixar won an Academy Award just for making Toy Story, or Disney for Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. And I feel like Nerd Chronic absolutely warrants that.
That is a good point. I mean, you could say that the Yodi could be kept for people who do a lot for the league on camera, and then you can have the Nerd Chronic Award for people who do a lot behind the camera too.
Yeah.
So you can both of them.
I actually do. I think it would be nice to have more awards for people behind the camera, because obviously we couldn't do any of this without a really talented team.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people like I know that are behind the scenes that we never really get to see on camera at all, that like absolutely deserve recognition constantly. I know anyone who's familiar with studios and how live events are supported. I know I will always say Megan. Megan is like a huge backbone to everything.
Saved the whole show on more than one occasion. I'm going to tell you, she backbone of it all. Yeah.
So I would like the next time this actually starts back up in an actual studio where she's running the whole thing, I would not mind if she ever gets like an actual nomination for a Yodi, or if they change it to like a let's award the people behind the scenes type of thing.
I think the Yodi is like a lifetime achievement or special, like historically no one will ever undo your accomplishments kind of thing. But I think we need another award. I think for people behind the scenes at least. Yeah.
Could be good.
They're both confident and don't make any mistakes about the lovable.
Either way, Eric's going to win the Yodi Award this year. So
Bibbs,
he can get both. He can get the Yodi Award and the Chronic Award.
He's confident, even though
the Chronic Award, that would be good.
What he knows. He's
it was like the year Harold Russell was given a special award for inspiring, veteran performance in the best years of our lives.
And then he ended up winning supporting actor outright.
Yeah, and then he also
that's what he
I think it's the only time anyone's ever won an Academy Award twice for the same performance.
I don't know what he's thinking. He's just petting Elvis.
Interesting.
From the same film, yeah.
This is another one too. Brandon Buckingham in the chat is saying Brian Ward is amazing. Brian Ward's work has been phenomenal, and will easily if you don't even have to show people like clips of the Schmoedown, just show Brian Ward's artwork, and that will draw people in.
I think Brian is absolutely someone who should be considered for a Yodi for that alone. Like he helped define the league and helped elevate like how dramatic we viewed these matches to be. And it was always an honor every time I wound up on one of his posters, which I actually only did like twice, but every time it was amazing.
I mean, his art style is the Schmoedown, so the Schmoedown isn't what it is visually in terms of the art style without Brian Ward.
And honestly, there are a ton of people that people don't even know the names of that are so instrumental right now during the digital age. A lot of people it's called out who are like herding cats, so to say. I think the one that's I feel like most involved is Courtney Luby.
From Skybound.
With swag and corruption and
Brian Mitchell and Kim Bowden and
I think it's a really important win, but
I'm going to stop naming names because I feel like I'll eventually leave someone out. So
it's our job to remember the names of movie people. Like asking us to remember people in our actual lives is like way too much. It's way too much to ask.
Remember how well you do in Schmoebaits because you know the Schmoedown as much as you know the movies in the Schmoedown.
I feel like
he's a beast. There's a reason
Gucci should have given himself like a Dracula vampire name here with that collar.
That collar's amazing. Where does he find these clothes?
He doesn't. They find him. I think in my previous match he did use the name Count Gucciverse.
Yes.
Nice.
Taking a break from your busy schedule of shooting fast.
Hi, I'm a pop colored jacket. I belong in your wardrobe.
Yep.
I'm just gonna nestle myself here between the banana hammocks and the.
That might be the best.
I don't know why I just went banana hammocks.
Too much scrubs. Too much scrubs.
Too much scrubs. Yeah.
The Todd.
Overall knowledge. I mean, look. Against somebody like
that jacket finds Gucci and says, I belong in your wardrobe. He goes,
very
goes without saying.
Between these two guys. No questions asked. I mean, look, he's not a real smack talker.
Yeah, they did. They made a Schmoebaits reference.
And when Bibbiani starts talking about other competitors, that means
coy.
Okay, I actually want to say something right now. Gucci's line here about how if I start talking about other competitors, my head's not in the game, and if I'm focusing on myself, they are. I actually heard this going into the match, and I was like, "Oh, that's actually a good point. Thank you. It's actually like worth remembering." So actually, I'm going to give Gucci some credit here. That was actually some pretty decent advice he gave me about like where to keep my head at, because I'm better when I just focus on myself and don't worry about the other competitors.
He's never really had a manager that has been able to calm him down, speak to him. He's always felt it's been an advantage to other competitors who have had that, and he has it this year.
Think of the managers helping the players on the other side.
Overall, the season, you think that has made him
it's weird, right? But I'm so glad. I mean, I don't know. I'm actually curious, Barbarian, like, what is it like? How involved is Gucci? Like, how hands-on is he? Is he one of those people who just trusts his players and lets you like manage yourselves because you're so talented, or is he like really hands on and like talking with you about strategy and what you should be studying and stuff like that?
So he doesn't get involved in the studying portion. He trusts us to like the members of our faction are always working with each other to help each other study. He trusts that, but he's very
massive.
He's very involved in a lot of ways. Part of the reason why I reached out to him about wanting to be in the faction is I knew what I could bring to the table from a knowledge standpoint, but I wanted his help to bring stuff to the table from like a character standpoint, which he's been great about. But also he's actually super knowledgeable about strategy. He's very good about making sure we're our heads in the right space. Like you hear me at some point here saying, I say at one point we talked about this before the match. We know what we're going to do. And that's not just like a lie that that we're not talking about on the show. We are literally talking before the match. We talk before the match and say, okay, if this is what do you do? What are we? Yeah, he helps us game strategy before the game starts.
That's great. It's so hard to tell sometimes what other managers are doing besides what they're doing on camera, so it's really cool to hear about that. Yeah, also, I want to say something right now, Barbarian. You have the best theme music.
I'm very blessed by that. Yeah,
that theme music. I thought that was actually like a theme from a Conan movie for a minute. Like I was really impressed by it.
You're running out of rooms in the house. You're running out of rooms.
The Barbarian.
I want you to actually get the blades from Conan when you do that. That's so cool.
I was watching the match earlier. Garth did call out what I was attempting to accomplish.
You're sitting in a chair like Commander Riker.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my god! I thought that was it. Okay, cool.
Yes, I was trying to do the Riker maneuver. But I got a little too tall for me, and
I thought maybe that was some like other Barbarian movie reference I was missing because I was like first thought was the Riker maneuver, and then I was like, it's not a Barbarian thing.
No, but that was great. I can never, after watching that one YouTube video where it just showed them all like back to back, I was like, I will never see someone sit in a chair like that and not immediately think that.
Yeah.
Remember in the Insurrection where they tried to give Riker an actual maneuver, and like LaForge is actually saying something really on the nose, like I wouldn't be surprised if they called this the Riker maneuver. And I'm like, no, Insurrection, no, you're not doing any of this. No one will remember you, Insurrection. You're a bad movie.
Though,
thanks, Shake. Thanks, Shake.
I've always considered it the worst Star Trek film, but when I rewatched it for the IG tournament, you know what? Not as bad as I remembered. It's and part of it's just like they're all Star Trek movies. It's great to just be in the company of my friends, the Star Trek cast members.
Well, if you had to pick, then what is the worst Star Trek movie?
Well, still Insurrection, but but it's better than I remembered.
I agree.
It's still not good. Yeah. Well, no, here's the thing. It's still the worst. But I enjoy it now. I enjoy it.
That's fair.
It's the biggest problem with it is the stakes are just so low.
Wait, really? Are you controlling that? I can neither confirm nor deny. Okay.
That made me so happy when I saw that.
Thank you. So if I could speak to what actually is occurring here.
Please.
Is that Videodrom's room?
That's Videodrom's room. So this is Nerd Chronic's garage. So at the time, my internet I was having significant problems with my internet. I knew that Nerd Chronic had strong internet. I'd been over there before, and I'd done. They're streaming all the time over there. So I was like, "Hey, can I come over and shoot my match there? I don't want to have my internet cut out in the middle of my matches." So. Yeah, and then apparently one of his roommates, he lives with like 10 people. That's an exaggeration, but I don't know how many people live there.
It's pretty close. It's a pretty close number.
I call it the Schmoedown Flophouse. But apparently, like someone wanted to confirm whether or not I was in the garage, so they opened the door on me.
Which all you had to do, I'm familiar with that garage. I've stood in that garage. Just walk around to the back and come in through that back door. Like, is someone in there? Yeah, okay.
Garage. There are multiple ways. That's hilarious. I kind of wish I could have been on the outside of that with them going, "Oh snap!" and they realized what they did and how embarrassing it was.
That was funny though at that time, though.
I'm just glad it was left in.
Oh yeah, no. Okay. As soon as it happened, Christian was like, "Eric, leave this in."
It's too good. It's too good.
Ultimate Schmoedown Teams winner and the former movie trivia Schmoedown.
Jake saying he's Jake invited me on the stream, but I was working today, so I did not have a chance to get on their stream.
I was busy too. Sorry about that.
Sorry, Jake.
It's okay too. Y'all just like the Cinephinex more than Call to Action anyway. We get it. It's cool.
I mean, I like the 7 p.m. start time better.
Yeah, much better. So here I thought if my whole like shtick for my promo was that the Barbarian is kind of like doing me, I thought I should do the Barbarian. So I got the tiger from the previous one and I renamed him Fabian after another crooner from the Elvis era. And it turns out Fabian actually like his biggest hit song was actually called Tiger. So I actually threw in some references to that song. I doubt anyone will get, but I know they're there, and it makes me laugh.
Look, jokes are funnier when you have to explain them.
I think so.
I think
you have to work for it, you know?
I think Netflix got it wrong. I think you're the real Tiger King.
Grainy photo of
I want to thank my mom once again for getting me that jacket. My mom
that
got
jacket
me
is fantastic.
Yeah, I was gonna. There was a time when I was gonna like wear that the entire season, like it was gonna be my plan. But then I lost my first match, and I was like, "Oh God, maybe it's cursed." I can get a little.
Well, I wish still have something left to prove.
I don't have everything.
I want to make a quick trivia statement about you. See, there's mentioned the Tiger King. Do you guys know which actor / Oscar-winning documentary producer produced Tiger King?
No,
actually, I didn't watch it.
I definitely did not watch that.
He's not on camera in the Tiger King at all. I only learned this yesterday because I was looking it up, looking up his Oscar bona fides, and I realized he was nominated for 5 Emmys as well. Fisher Stevens.
Oh, Fisher Stevens.
Really?
Fisher
Stevens.
One Oscar for producing The Cove. Yep. Yeah, from Hackers and from famously for doing Yellowface in Short Circuit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was also
banned for 20 years.
Also a fantastic Indian guy in Short Circuit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he he produced Tiger King and was nominated for an Emmy for it.
Good for him.
He's been nominated for 5 Emmys in total.
I love how much of a career shift he's had from being this like respected character actor who has had some crap roles, but to becoming like a highly respected documentarian and producer. That's good for him. Honestly, I was always a fan. Short Circuit notwithstanding.
Look, I love Short Circuit. As a kid, I didn't realize he was an Indian. And look, that was only 2 years after Linda Hunt won an Oscar for playing a Chinese boy, or not Chinese, but a different Asian. Yeah. Linda Hunt, as a woman, won an Oscar for playing a cisgendered Chinese man. Not China. I keep saying Chinese. I apologize.
We do not talk about that enough. That's a weird bit of chapter of Oscars history. Yeah. Like that's a weird thing that happened, and that was never cool.
Oh wait, are we talking about Mickey Rooney?
No, we're not. We could, but
no, that's horribly racist.
Yeah, there's a ton. I have a podcast on Critically Acclaimed called Not on Disney Plus, where we talk about stuff that Disney has but are not putting out on streaming, like they're kind of sweeping under the rug of history. And this last month, we did a movie called Savage Sam, which was the sequel to Old Yeller.
Oh,
people forget that existed, and it had brought back the old cast. There was a new dog, and it was basically The Searchers, except John Wayne was a dog. And unlike The Searchers, which is at least trying to have a complex conversation about racial relations in America, it's just pretty darn racist. It's brutal.
So Camshaft is asking who, in regards to Fisher Stevens, he was one of the Goomba guys in Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, he was the one who got super smart and started like using all the big words. That's if you don't know him from Short Circuit or Hackers, that's probably what you know him from.
He was also Hail Caesar.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem to be a tour passing. So
He's a really, really good actor, actually, normally.
Yeah.
I was a fan.
8 questions from 8.
Trying to think what else. He's been in a ton.
He's one of the guys.
Well,
who's-
here, Robert and Chris are both competing on last general standing. We will be talking about this
Ooh.
later on in this stream. This is
That's
going to be
exciting.
fun.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
If you ask a question, you have 15 seconds. Write down your best attempt at an answer with whatever utensil you have handy on whatever writing surface you prefer. Once we ask you by name or nickname or pet's name,
So we're gonna do our best again to try to keep up with the two of you, but I
No.
assume that y'all will both trivia us under the water.
I've decided not to whip out my dry erase board today. I'll just let other me do it.
I want before we get into this. After we give the answers for the second question, I'd like to pause briefly. So
Please.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
Gotcha.
Have a discussion.
Oh, I am hyped for this. I've never been so hyped for a trivia question.
Oh man, if y'all are agreeing on a question, if y'all are agreeing that we need to pause on a question, ooh, what's
Yeah.
it gonna be?
Start with William. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready, Fabian? He needs 5 minutes.
Can't get so we're gonna move on. Barbarian, are you ready?
Elvis is not a pet; he's a companion, and he and I are always ready to rock.
Then let's get ready.
I am baffled by what Elvis actually is. I present a theory about what Elvis is later, and
Number 1.
at some point I might have already done it. It's weird and Lovecraftian.
All right, here it is. Action adventure. Robin Chow plays Liu Kang, and Bridget Wilson plays Sonya Blade in which 90s film?
I feel like Christian mispronounced that first name, isn't it? I thought that was like Robin Shu. Is it Robin Chow?
I think it is Robin Shaw.
Oh, okay.
He's dead, Mark.
If Elvis is a companion, does that make the Barbarian?
Please tell me y'all answer this in the way that it should be answered.
2
Well, one of us does.
down.
Okay.
And we start with William.
Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Not Bibbiani.
Mortal Kombat.
There it is.
I gotta leave it for the Barbarian. It's a barbaric yacht.
Can we pause this real quick? I just want to say one quick thing. I'm not going to do this after every question.
Here is the next question.
I just wanted to say one thing real quick. I really appreciated that question on a personal level. I keep referring to my wife Sonia as Red Sonia, but she and I met on OkCupid, which is a dating website, still is, and her username when we met was Sonya Blade.
Oh,
So the fact that we opened the match with a
Nice.
Sonya Blade question, I thought was really cool.
that's really nice.
That
That's
is
wonderful.
nice.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
And continue.
Danny Koss with the $3.99 super chat. Do you remember the 21st night of September?
Oh
Yes,
Lord.
we do.
Say that you remember.
Family films, Christian. And the question for a point. Who stars as Fern?
All right,
A young
I had to
girl
get that
who
out.
adopts a pig named Wilbur in 2006's Charlotte's Web.
Just
Oh.
finished reading this entire book to my.
I think so.
Did you read it or did you have Audible read it for you?
See, everyone's complaining about how there's a really tough 2-pointer in a previous match. This is a tough 1-pointer for a lot.
I've got two. I got two in my head. I'm not sure.
I got one that I think it is.
Abigail Breslin.
It was not. And William?
Is it Dakota Fanning?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
That was a guess.
So you want
Pause
to pause on this?
That was my
Yeah.
other one. I went with
Dakota Fanning.
I went with Anna Sophia Robb, which is kind of a left.
Oh, that's
Who
not
is
good.
that?
Yeah,
Really?
well, I don't think Anna Sophia Robb was old enough to be in a movie at that
She
point.
might have been
right?
pretty young at the time. Yeah.
Maybe not. Yeah.
So the one thing I wanted to say is, if we kind of talked over a little bit. If we wanted to rewind and watch it after I say this, it's like, so Christian has to ask me twice to give my answer because I had already realized I had written the incorrect answer and that the correct answer was Dakota Fanning, but had realized it without enough time to issue a JTE.
Oh, that's
I just gotten lost in like train of thought, and thinking like, and just to give a little behind how the wheels work behind the scenes. When I'm hearing questions, it's like it's just the way my mind works. I try to figure out the answer as quickly as possible. So like every word I'm saying, if I know that the answer is. And with that question, the way it was phrased, they start off with like a character name I don't recognize. So it's like, it's funny, just like hearing it in real time, it seems like it goes a lot faster than it seems like it goes a lot slower when the match is happening.
Yeah.
But like it felt like it was so long into the question before I knew what they were actually asking, because I didn't recognize the character's name and they didn't say the film yet, and they're like giving so much information, I'm so lost before they finally said, okay, Charlotte's Web. It's like, okay, then I had to go. So I spent so much time trying to figure out what they were even asking before finding out that it was that I had to kind of do a full reset, and then. For some reason, that was the first name that came to me, and then as soon as I wrote it, I was like, or is it Dakota Fanning? And I started thinking about it, and what really triggered it for me was the release year. I think they said 2006. It was either 2005 or 2006, and I realized that Abigail Breslin didn't become a thing until 2006 when she did Little Miss Sunshine. So there's no way it was her in Charlotte's Web, and it had to have been Dakota Fanning. But by the time I came to that realization, they're like, and Barbarian, your answer. I was like, he's like, Barbarian? Okay, here's my wrong answer.
Meanwhile, on my side of the screen, I'm spending that entire time trying to remember Abigail Breslin's name. And when they started counting down, I'm like, I don't know, I'll just put down Dakota Fanning. So I put down something. It turned out to be right.
Well, that just worked out.
Sometimes you just get lucky. It's rare, but it happens.
I will kind of admit that's kind of a little bit what I went off of. It's like Dakota Fanning is the right age for that character at that time. I'll go with that one.
Right. I mean, I really thought it was Abigail Breslin. I don't know why I thought that. I've never seen the movie, but for some reason it just seemed right to me. But whatever, it worked out, and it's weird.
Yeah,
I think what I did
was just weird.
I think what I did just now is that I had Dakota Fanning in my head just now, but I think I was like getting confused with like that movie Racing Stripes about the zebra.
Right.
And I think that was Anna Sophia Robb in that one.
That sounds right. I actually haven't seen that in a long time, so I don't remember.
Yeah. I haven't seen the live action one. I saw the animated one a ton when I was a kid, and so the only things I'm familiar with about the live action one, which I'll have to watch at some point before my next match, so that it doesn't get used against me, was that excuse me, I hope that didn't get picked up by the microphone. So, but
it did. But you're cool.
Okay, cool. I am cool. Thank you. I knew that Julia Roberts played Charlotte. I know that Steve Buscemi plays Templeton the Rat. And Templeton the Rat was always my favorite in it because a fair is a veritable smorgasbord. Anyway, so that's all I have to say about that question. Charlotte's Web.
Yeah.
All right.
Anytime I get the chance to say Steve Buscemi's name, I will.
He's Steve Buscemi? Yeah, you should never pass up that opportunity.
Who stars as Italian-American Tony Lip Vallanunga.
Oh, Bibbiani, I'm sure you love this question.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Movie trivia with,
I really don't like this movie. Like, it's competently produced, but so wrong-headed. And even the portrayal of Italian Americans is offensive. It's just like, hey, you guys get in pizza eating competitions all the time, right? And I'm like,
Hands down, and William.
How great is Mahershala Ali in it?
He's great. Like, it's a good performance. It's in service of a story that is told in such a way that's condescending and very negative.
Barbarian. Next question.
Like, it's well made. Like, it's shot and everything like that. But sometimes people say, like, oh, if it's well made, how bad can it be? Well, but if it's made in service of sort of a bad idea or a bad intention or a wrong-headed theme or something that's really regressive, making it well can actually be more dangerous because now you're presenting it so confidently and with such polish that people might just be more willing to accept it, even if it is wrong-headed. So that one really takes me out.
One Barbarian.
The Karate Kid.
Yes, and William.
I can't do the kick. It's the Karate Kid.
You know when they were. Can we pause?
Wax on, wax off.
I didn't put the
question. Fantasy
well, don't
There's
worry.
no other Karate Kids.
Can we pause it real quick? I just want to say something briefly. So I don't want to. No pausing. Okay, it's fine. I was going to say it's like that was when the way they phrased it. As I knew the answer immediately. I was thinking maybe Bibbs doesn't know this, and then when he did the crane thing, it's like, okay, he clearly knows this. Took away all my hope of gaining an edge there.
You thought that was the one I wouldn't know, the Karate Kid? Really? Wow.
I don't know the way they phrase. If you go back, if you look at the actual question, they give so little information about it.
But it's paint the fence and sand the floor. Like,
isn't that that's all they get? They don't give. Yeah, no. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, it's that. the fact that, and again, this wasn't meant as an insult. It was just a matter of like, okay, they didn't give any cast members, they didn't give a year, they didn't give, So I was like, okay, this is like, I had a glimmer of hope that maybe you didn't know it. I mean, look at this question here. I mean, you get both stars of the year and the remake and the author whose movie it was.
And it's not that long ago. That's pretty easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's a solid 1-pointer. Like we can all agree on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I do wish people would stop complaining about point values. We've all seen hard 1-pointers and relatively easy 3-pointers. Like it's all subjective. We're all doing the best we can. I wish that wasn't the narrative every single time a match came out now.
Well, I think part of it is that in general, people like to, talk about the game, and that's one of the easiest things to talk about. And it was like coming out of my match against Whitney. It was just to sidetrack just briefly. Like, a lot of people were saying, it's like, oh well, the Barbarian's 3-pointer was so much easier than Whitney's 3-pointer. And it's like, well,
do they have that in other sports? Like if you're like the last person at bat in a baseball game and it all comes down to you, do people complain that it was just like, well, that fastball was too fast?
Well, no, but they'll say, oh, that should have been a ball. People argue about balls and strikes all the time.
Yeah, but that's I think a little different because that's actually like how the player competed. It's not about how difficult the thing was to accomplish. It's how well they hit the actual ball. That I can appreciate, but like, I don't know. I feel like on some level, okay, fine, but the way some people really get really hyper focused on it, it starts to get kind of disrespectful to the game.
No, exactly.
In a way that I don't like. I wish we could remove that tone from it.
Well, I specifically, I don't often argue. I don't often get into the Facebook arguments with fans because I don't think that's my job. And it's like, they have their opinions. This is their platform to do what they want. After my match with Whitney, I did engage one fan because he said, "Oh, well, Barbarian probably didn't know that." It's like, I'm very familiar with Charles Copley's career, and I'm very familiar with the A-Team. Whitney blocked it out of his mind because he hated the film. I just thought it was okay, but of course, I know all 4 members of the A-Team in the film, and I also, of course, know that the great Dwight Schultz played Mad Dog Murdoch in the TV series. Reginald Barkley, another Star Trek shout out.
Yeah, I was saying, who could forget Lieutenant Barkley on that?
Yeah, no one can forget Lieutenant Barkley. Point is though, is that one of the things I mentioned when I was talking to the fans was like, I do think it's disrespectful to the writers to question the point values because you're basically telling them that they don't know how to do their jobs.
Yeah,
and I think they do. So they try so hard to make sure that the game is fair and that the points are, I thought they did a terrific job with that in this match, and I was shocked when in the chat after the fact that people, we'll get to this. Well, we won't get. I don't know. We don't need to talk about it specifically, but Bibbiani, I was reading the chat as the match played, and I was shocked when people started talking about some of the difficulties, and again, I find it disrespectful. And I think it was funny because PJ immediately jumped in and started, chirping back with some of these people. And I spoke to PJ afterwards. It's like, you don't need to argue with these people. You don't need to justify yourself to these. When I say these people, I don't mean that. I don't mean that.
No. The people, those folks who decide to make it into not just. Listen, if I lose a question, I'm like, oh, that question was so hard. I'm not complaining about the writers. I'm complaining that I didn't know something. And that's on me. I'm like, oh, why didn't I know that? Why didn't I see that movie? Why didn't I research that thing? That's on me. That's not on the question writers.
It's all subjective.
Of course it's our job to know movie trivia. That's what it boils down to. If we don't know the trivia, we can't know everything. If we don't know the trivia, it stinks. And now we know what we have to study later. It's happened to me time and time again.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, we're us on this channel. We're big supporters, big fans of the writers, and so whenever we see like people talking against the writers, it's like, hey, trust the writers to do their job. You as the fan just accept the game as it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I honestly think this is not just because I support the game because I'm in it. I actually think the questions have been better this season than they maybe have ever been. And there's a question that's coming up in this match that I think might be one of, if not the best questions I've ever seen presented in a game. I love a question that's coming up.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'll tell you when we hit it.
In the business, we call that a tease.
What business are you in? Wait, never mind. Don't answer that. Don't.
We're playing the match.
I'm in a business that involves a lot of teasing.
Riley was a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Elvis has a black belt.
Oh, God, why does this movie exist?
Elvis is a belt.
Because
because of money. Oh yeah, money.
They had no premise. They had no like new take on the material.
No.
It was just like, what if there's a big hole in the earth? What does that have to do with anything, Total Recall?
And they took out all the best parts of the original.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous. The original Total Recall, I consider
Total
one of the
Recall
best science fiction films
That's
ever made. Top 10 easily.
Absolutely.
Brilliant motion picture.
Angry with myself.
I interviewed Paul Verhoeven once, and I asked him, because a lot of people, I've got an argument about whether the ending of the original Total Recall, whether it was all a dream or whether it actually happened. And what he explained to me, and I wish it was easier to explain to other people, was he wanted it to literally be both. Not like it's up for your interpretation. It's like, no, I made the film both ways, simultaneously, so that it exists in a dream and outside of a dream at the same time. So,
I see the poster. I don't see the name of this one.
Hands down, please. And Barbarian.
They always win.
The house.
The house, yeah.
That was the house.
That's it.
In the house.
That is correct.
The house.
I'm so bummed that In the Heights didn't come out this year. I really, really, really wanted to see it. That was the one movie I was actually looking forward to in 2020.
Tusk.
Oh, come on.
I know, this is hilarious. I swear to God, for a second I thought about challenging this. I'm like, come on, he's on my fat shit.
Bibbiani, you better get this right.
Right? I'm actually quoted on the Wikipedia page for this, for my review, where I said that with this movie, Kevin Smith has killed irony.
Ouch.
Like
really like this movie.
Under like the critical like reception of it.
Yeah. I really didn't care for this film. I'm actually normally quite a fan of Kevin Smith, but I did not like this one.
I really enjoyed the Comic-Con panel for this film.
Oh yeah.
Hashtag Walrus, yes.
I did interviews at that Comic-Con with Kevin Smith. He was very, very. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He's a very nice man.
Title character in Wreck-It Ralph.
I also interviewed John C. Reilly for this. Sorry to spoil it.
I got it.
We already got it. I already knew. John C. Reilly. Yeah, we got it.
I was at the John. That was a fun one.
I'm gonna wreck it.
That's a perfect round. Thanks.
I actually think the sequel's better.
We'll do Double Dragon.
It was pretty good. Yeah,
I think it was really clever.
Barbarian.
I'm a rocket. John C. Reilly.
Yes.
William Bibbiani. Someone just stepped on my line there. Which one of you guys stepped on my line?
William Bibbiani has got 8.
Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that.
Career here in the Schmoedown, and we have a bonus question.
So sorry,
you, William, and only you. You don't have to write it down. You just have to answer it. Are you ready?
Oh God, I'm so sorry.
All right. Jay Roach directed Bryan Cranston in
Trumbo
2015 biopic.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, for one. Up by 2 points here.
Barbarian, I assume you knew that.
Yeah,
you would have gotten it. Yeah.
One
GT, the entire game could have shifted.
Bring a wheel to your house, but we don't want to be bitten by your companion.
Love me some Bryan Cranston.
Here's the thing. I knew that as Trumbo, but I have not seen that. I'm wondering if it's any good because I've heard. I know of Trumbo.
Yeah, it's a very sanitized Hollywood praising itself kind of movie. You could get more information out of like the Wikipedia page or any decent book on the subject, although Bryan Cranston is very good
at that point. The value of the question goes down to 1. You may not.
I think it's interesting that Jay Roach is kind of like turned himself into the poor man's Adam McKay.
I know, isn't that weird that happened? Like Bombshell is trying so hard to be The Big Short, and it wasn't.
And Barbarian and Corey, you have 60 seconds to talk to
None of these are bad films.
I didn't care for Bombshell.
I'm not a critic.
I am. I will. Exactly. Be honest. You can pull out. I have to dive in.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I get to tap dance around it.
Yeah.
I am feeling good, and let's just get a nice little cat party going here. Yeah, I'm feeling real good. Thank you so much.
Cam Chef says she likes the way Barbarian said Mortal Kombat and the Wreck-It Ralph line.
Yeah,
thank you, Cam.
That's backfired on people. I remember when Inman was asked the name of the robot Wally falls in love with, and he said Eva, which is exactly how Wally says it in the film.
Exactly the way he says it. Yep.
And they challenged it, and it's like, but it's Eve, and I'm like, but that's how Wally says it, and I still think Inman should have gotten that one.
I agree 100% because he
That
was
demonstrates
doing
that
an
he
impression of Wally. Wally says Eva.
Yeah, that's how Wally pronounced it. That demonstrates that he saw the film and knew the film.
Exactly.
It doesn't demonstrate that he didn't. Ergo, I think that was one of the few calls where I'm just like, I disagree with that.
So, Bibbs, you passed on going first.
Wait, real quick here though. Listen here.
60 seconds to decide. Starting now.
I don't know.
Well,
What else is on there?
Beforehand, and this is
good wheel.
This is something I'm gonna spin away from just because.
I like monster movies on there. Like that doesn't necessarily mean horror.
Your favorite Charlie Theron is on there.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah. So the reason why I was like, we were talking earlier about what Gucci does for, like,
Speaking of monster movies,
yeah, you heard me say there. It's like, we discussed this before, and I'm spinning away from dramas. And it's only because dramas. Look, it's a broad category. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
100 years worth of dramas. Who knows which ones they're going to ask about?
It's a good category to land on second because you can probably fight your way through it, and maybe you'll get a bunch of stuff But yeah, generally speaking, you want to get like something you know.
Dangerous alien race.
Krites. That's Critters.
Yeah. In Kansas.
Critters.
For 2 points. That is correct. All right.
Critters 2 is the best one.
Who plays
Critters 3 has Brad Dourif and Angela Bassett.
Rescued by a zombie.
And Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
I just saw her name earlier today.
DiCaprio was in Critters 3.
Aubrey Plaza?
Yes.
No.
Did I say Critters 3? I meant Critters 4. Sorry.
Oh, no.
I just saw her name earlier today.
Yeah.
Is it
Teresa
Amber
Palmer.
Heard?
Teresa Palmer. It's Teresa Palmer. 100%.
Okay.
It's not Amber Heard. Shut up.
I love how Teresa Palmer looks so much like Amber Heard that my initial thought when I heard that was Amber. Oh, no way.
Billionaire Jack Morris, who funds the underwater research facility
it's Rainn Wilson.
Egg.
Yes. Yeah, it's Rainn Wilson. Yep.
2 points. And your final question here.
Can we get a question that the answer is Cliff Curtis?
Yeah.
I want to highlight Cliff Curtis.
Someday.
Film. Larry Cohen involves a mutant newborn baby who goes on a killing.
Oh man.
Let's go multiple choice.
You can do it.
Is it A, the creature?
It's alive.
It's alive. C, mutant. D, the baby.
Let's go. It's alive.
That's correct for 1 point. Barbarian.
By the way, The Baby is one of the weirdest movies of the 1970s.
Fights his way through and sees
Wait,
himself.
pause this real quick, if we may.
Over William Bibbiani had to go to multiple.
So I feel like of all the things on the wheel, that probably was the one I was least interested in going to, and not, look, I got them all right. Yeah, but it was one that, like, I hadn't specifically studied for it, but I've gone on record as saying if they introduce a horror films horror films division in the Schmoedown, I will gladly join it. I would say a bit. There we go. Sorry, the screens are backwards.
I've been begging for it for 4 years.
Yeah, no, but it's not something that I, it's not a category that I specialize in, but as a lover of movies, of those 4 films, 2 of them were released at a time where in the past decade, and I saw both of them in theaters. And, I had to go to multiple choice for Teresa Palmer only because, that movie was 2013, do they say? And it's, I saw that movie on Valentine's Day with Red Sonja, and in theaters, and I love Nicholas Hoult, and I know a lot about the film, but in that moment, it's like I knew the answer was Teresa Palmer, but couldn't remember Teresa Palmer's name in the moment, and so I had to debate: do I use a JTE and see if another 15 seconds gets me to pull the name, or do I just go to multiple choice and guarantee myself the 1 point? And I decided there to use the JTE and get myself the 1 point, which I did. The one thing I'll say though is There's a world in which I could have gotten Teresa Palmer at 2 points, but I don't think there's a world in which I would have gotten It's Alive at 1 point. When I went to multiple choice and I heard those 4 options, I was like, I remember hearing about the film It's Alive and this being that. And so like, I don't think there's a world in the multiverse in which I successfully guess It's Alive, or like I said, it would have been a guess had I tried it at 2 points. I don't think there's a world in which I successfully answer It's Alive at 2 points. But it's like everything else, it's like that we've gone through so far. It's like, I knew Dakota Fanning. I knew Abigail Breslin was wrong. I could have gotten Teresa Palmer had it been in my head. I saw that movie. I knew, I knew it was her. I just couldn't remember her name. No chance in hell I ever get It's Alive for 2 points.
I will say this right now. I would have gotten all of those questions, but there was a really decent chance I would have had a total brain fart and needed to go to multiple choice on Teresa Palmer.
Yeah.
I actually like her a lot. I thought she was particularly good in Lights Out. But she's just one of those people who looks like other actors. Mm-hmm. And there's a decent chance I would have gone to a JTE at least once and then thrown up my hands and go, I'll know it when they say the name.
Yeah.
So I might have pulled it, but there's also a really decent chance I would have had to go to multiple.
And I remember when you did your Shazam versus Who's the Boss match, looking on the shelf behind you and seeing It's Alive, and that was after this match. I saw It's Alive on the shelf behind you. It's like, son of a bitch. Sorry, guys. Sorry, no good. But I was like, yep, there's It's Alive.
Hey, you got it right.
And that's the thing. Like,
I know.
They asked that question, and I saw the poster, and I'm like, I know it's like some like really stupid title too, and I was like, and then there's a part of me that's like, I'm on this video right now with Bibbiani, and I know he knows this.
there's Larry Cohen, I just want to say, is one of the most underappreciated genre filmmakers ever. And you could just pick any film he directed and you would get like a really underappreciated masterpiece. If you want a place to start, if anyone's watching this, The Stuff.
Yes.
Stuff is amazing.
So I'll do a quick plug. I'll do a quick plug since you're bringing that up. If you join our patreon.com/cinefanatics at the $10 tier, we did a watch along of The Stuff.
Nice.
It was his first time watching it. We did it with Tim Franco. I love how stupid that movie is. It is fantastic.
It's stupid, but smart about it, too. They know the premise is silly, and they're having fun. So good. All right, we should move on.
Yeah. My name's Mo, because every time somebody gives me some money, I just want some Mo.
As we now
sweaty palms, sweaty palms.
Sweaty palms, sweaty palms. Love The Stuff.
And all right. So
that's one of the reasons why I don't do my recording of the matches in front of my DVD wall, because there's so much there. I don't want to give any answers.
You're like, what movie is it?
Larry Cohen was a genius.
It's that one.
I also don't want my competitor to see it right in front of them,
And here's the first spin.
Like, seriously, if you saw just It's Alive behind my head.
Tell us the lesson that we should learn.
I wanted to highlight also, Jeremy Adams said, I just may have written that It's Alive question, so I can finally have it.
Spinner's choice.
There's no category I was worried about for you, but now you have all the talent.
Really?
Oh, I need the
cat
puns. And there's a slice we wanted to get for a while. Let's go with Mel Brooks.
So you went movie release dates, right?
All right, so
I went Mel Brooks. I've been wanting to spin Mel Brooks for a while. I love Mel Brooks.
The Mel Brooks slice is like hit or miss, it looks like, with a lot of people, though.
And we have 4 questions marked in the realm of Mel Brooks movies.
That's right, Christian.
Yeah, I treated Video Drew relatively well.
Right now, but I'm not quite as young and fresh-faced as the kid.
Well, it's his acting career, I think, trips some people up. Like, a lot of people see the movies he directed, but he's just
Like, they asked the question about him cameoing in Little Rascals.
Homeless con artist in The 12 Chairs.
No clue.
And boy, what an
It was Franklin Gale.
That was his film debut, too.
Nice.
And Bancroft found him.
All right.
I've seen people saying either in the chat or online that I should have challenged because of the pronunciation of Langella versus Langella, and I think that's ridiculous.
There's no way they wouldn't have given that to me.
Of course they would. No, of course. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous that people. I just wanted to not how people say it.
I was wondering what they were saying you should have challenged. I was confused.
No, me too. It wasn't until later when I saw someone spell out in the comments like, "Oh, we should have challenged the pronunciations." Like, Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
In what 2000?
Which Muppets movie was it?
The Muppet movie, the original.
And William Bibbiani just cleaning house.
I don't remember Mel Brooks being in that.
He's not in it much. It's a quick cameo.
Really knows his president's groove.
Is it while they're at the fair with the balloons? Or
No, he plays like a mad scientist who kidnaps them at some point.
I made
It's been a while since I've seen that one, actually.
Double checking. All right, for 2 points, your final question in the world of Mel Brooks. Who plays Dracula in 19?
Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, there's always a layup, and there should be. I think in round 2. I love it when round 2 is like a mixture of. It should be a mixture of hard and easy. I think like a couple of ones that you can get, and a couple of ones that like really test you, and it could be as difficult as
I will say, Dracula Dead and Loving It is my personal favorite Mel Brooks film.
Really?
Yeah, I know it's not it's an unpopular hot take. In fact, I have a Mel Brooks set, and it's not included in the set. I'm very disappointed when it wasn't one of the movies. But I mean, look, it was at the end of both of their. It was near the end of both of their careers. But it's like you had two of the just two comedic icons finally teaming together.
Yeah,
and I love the rest of the cast. Peter McNichol is
currently enjoying a.
I'm forgetting his character's name.
Renfield.
Sorry, Renfield. I was getting him and Steven Weber's name. But no,
Steven Weber's scene where he has to stab a vampire through the heart, and there's just so much blood. It's like absurd. That is an incredibly funny scene.
Oh yeah,
in a movie that I'm not a huge fan of. But you know who else loves that movie? Whitney Seibold.
Well, you know what? Whitney and I should be on the stream instead of you, Bibbs. Get him right now.
I think. Hey, you had your chance.
I know. I did this. They didn't get Whitney for it. What happened?
I know.
I think like I grew up with Spaceballs, and that will always be a favorite. But when I got older and I was able to appreciate Young Frankenstein a lot more. That was one that I was as a kid. I was like, why is it in black and white? I don't want to watch this. And then as I got older, I'm like, oh, this movie's so good, so good.
So many people have that attitude to black and white when they're young. My parents were like, made me watch black and white movies when I was a kid as often as anything else. It was just part of the reading list,
I think that Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, just because I wasn't big into westerns as a kid, still might not be. But
I got over the black and white thing pretty quickly when my dad introduced me to 12 Angry Men, and that became one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that's a good gateway, I think, to classic cinema.
I got into black and white with Clerks.
No, hey, look. Good entry.
And I was like, oh, this is a good movie. Who cares about color?
Yeah. Fun fact, the first time I saw Young Frankenstein was we were doing a movie watch along at a friend's house, and in attendance was Cloris Leachman's granddaughter.
Wow, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cloris Leachman is still with us, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Yes,
she's awesome. She's so good in everything.
Number 13, that is in the realm.
I loved her at Beer Fest.
Classic.
She was in a TV movie that I reviewed once for a podcast. That was like a very special episode kind of thing about a woman who catches syphilis after her husband cheats on her. And that was the whole thing. It was about the dangers of syphilis, and it was weird. And Cloris Leachman sang the movie's theme song.
What was the answer to that one? Shirley MacLaine, Jack Lemmon, and Fred McMurray.
The Apartment?
The Apartment.
Yeah.
The Apartment.
Which I think had come up in the Whitney Seibold match, hadn't it?
Yep.
Yep. Weird.
Pointer. Here it is. What is the name of the TV show?
Oh man!
In Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Was that Western one?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple in the show. Or a couple in the movie, sorry.
Bounty Law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, I'm not sure I would have pulled that in time.
That's a good one.
Because that's the one he's making in the film, but I think I would have forgotten about Bounty Law.
One of the things that helped me remember that is I actually named a fantasy football league Bounty Law last year because of it. And we did a whole bounty team. Everyone had bounty hunter named team names.
Did
and
you all
we
have like paper towels?
on the head of the person who like won the week the previous year. And so bounty
awesome.
law was really ingrained in my mind.
That's cool.
Pointer. You selected the category of Pixar movies.
Okay.
And your question. What is the name of the supervillain
Syndrome.
in
Syndrome, yeah.
Marvels?
Yeah.
Jason Lee.
He's made the Barbarian.
I misheard. I thought we got to like a 5-pointer. I was like, that's the 5-pointer?
That was
real quick. My last time for me to pause.
To win the game. But
that was
pause right
Buddy.
Oh, I just wanted to, one quick thing I want to say about my 3-pointers. You know, what I was saying earlier, where like with every word I'm trying to figure out what the answer was. That was another. My Tarantino one was one where I initially got thrown off because as soon as they in the category of Tarantino, what was the name of the show? And my first thought was Fox Force 5. As soon as they said that, and then when they said that Rick
Pulp
Dalton
Fiction
starred in, I was like, oh wait, nope, reset.
Yeah.
Let's go. You know, I was like.
Quentin Tarantino is a hard category because he's actually only directed and even been in / written so many films.
Yeah.
So like it's actually really hard to do like a 3 or a 5 for him sometimes. I've heard some 3s and 5s for Tarantino where I was like, oh, that's not so hard. But to some people it is because they just start getting really detailed. And I forget that like not everybody has like when Tarantino came out, there was this like cult of Tarantino with like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown and Natural Born Killers. And we were all like putting the pieces together and looking at all of the common elements and the names of the cigarettes are the same in each one. And wait, is Michael Madsen playing John Travolta's brother? And it was
Vega Brothers.
We were all trying to
Vega,
Big Kahuna Burger.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, it was a whole thing. I forgot that not everyone had that. So some of these are harder than I remember.
I still want to try that Big Kahuna burger that has the pineapple on it. That sounds fantastic.
You can just put pineapple on a burger. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Carl Jr. had those. It's like a teriyaki burger.
Yeah, I think actually Red Robin. We had Red Robins, and I think they did that with the teriyaki and the pineapple.
The Barbarian.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and play the match while we talk about.
Yeah, we can move on.
That is in the realm of Oscar movies. Oscar movies.
This is the question. I love this question.
Oh, okay.
Martin Scorsese directed 6 films in
Oh.
the 1990s, all of which were Oscar nominated except for one.
Oh, shoot.
What was that film? 20 seconds.
Jeez.
Great question. They found an interesting way to ask
Martin
for a
Scorsese.
piece of information that you might have had, but now you got to think of it in a different way. You know,
Who did Carlito's Way?
De Palma.
De Palma. Okay.
5, 4,
JT.
3. First one. Martin Scorsese directed 6.
Meanwhile, I'm
films
trying to
in the
figure out the answer in my head,
1990s,
too.
all of which were Oscar nominated except for one. What was that
That's
film?
a good question.
Yeah, they didn't include the documentaries on here. If you had picked one of the documentaries, I think they could have. You could have potentially challenged it because he did like Journey to Italy or something, or My Voyage to Italy. I forgot.
5, 4.
JTE, please.
Second one. Martin Scorsese directed 6 films in the 1990s, all of which were Oscar nominated except for one. What was that film?
I didn't realize I was doing this at the time.
Yeah.
This is the first. You can tell I'm really thrown here because this is the first time in any of my matches where I stopped petting Elvis.
You have a tell. That's amazing.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like doing all these weird things with my fingers. I was like, wow.
All right. Martin Scorsese directed 6 films in the 1990s, all of which were Oscar
I
nominated.
can't think of what it is.
What would you guess if you had to guess?
That's it. He's got to answer this in order to bounce it to
It's about to answer. Only for that.
I'm going to be honest. I'm having a hard time pulling any of the 6 films he did in the 90s.
He had a good run in the 90s.
4.
It's
3.
one of those. I'm pretty sure if I heard the movies, I'd be like, oh, of course he did that.
And that's correct.
What was it?
5-pointer.
Bringing Out the Dead.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Was it when he did 1999? Like squeaked in under the wire.
Which, by the way, so it's like that question was it was a movie release dates question and a Scorsese question because you needed to know
Yeah.
what film Scorsese directed and years they came out and
That's a
whether or
good
not they went out
question.
for Oscars.
That's a tough question, and I was impressed that you knew it. I think I pulled it as well, like in time, but that was like that's a real good 5.
What's
I feel
the
like
other
that's
five? What's
a
the other
perfect
5
5
movies?
point. That's a perfect 5-pointer because that covers so many different categories in one question.
If you get that question right, no one can take it away from you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Do we want to pause it now and go over that question, or do we want to go over that?
More about it?
We'll do it real
Yeah,
quick.
just what were the other 5 movies?
So the first one was
Goodfellas,
1990, which is the Best Picture nominee, and won Best Supporting Actor for Joe Pesci. Clearly, that's not the answer. Second film in the 90s was Cape Fear,
Juliette
which was
Lewis.
for Juliette Lewis, and I believe De Niro also got a nomination.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And then the next one is The Age of Innocence, which is notable because it's Winona Ryder's first ever Oscar nomination.
Mm-hmm. And I think it got like some costume design stuff as well. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 1995 was Casino, which is Sharon Stone's only Oscar nomination. She's never been nominated for anything else.
And she was considered a front runner too. Like she almost had that one. She's great in that movie.
Yeah, she is. I just rewatched it recently. And then 97 was Kundun, which is the first thing I thought of. And I was like, well, I don't know if it was nominated for anything, but it's like, you don't make a movie like Kundun and not get nominated for technical Oscars.
Yeah, I think it was nominated for cinematography and costume.
I think that was the same with Silence. I think he got nominated for technical for Silence, but didn't win anything
as well.
The which one?
Andrew Garfield was nominated for that as well.
No, Garfield was not. I don't think he was nominated. Hold on, let me double check. I don't think he was nominated. I don't think Silence was nominated for anything.
You're right.
He may have been nominated for like cinematography, but I meant to look this up the other day. I think it may not. I think it may have gotten skipped entirely. Let me look here.
Yeah,
no, it got one nomination for cinematography.
I think Garfield was in Hacksaw Ridge that same year.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was confused because it was kind of like a good,
got nominated for Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah.
I would have gone Hacksaw Ridge over Silence, definitely.
I think Silence. I think I wrote an article for the Wrap where I called that Silence the best remake of the decade. I think that movie's brilliant.
Yeah, no, Silence. Silence is really good. It's a brutal film to watch, though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So after you said the 5 movies, definitely going back to what I said before, I feel stupid for not recalling like at least Goodfellas and Casino right off the top of my head.
They're asking for so much, and you have to not only like figure out what angle you're going to go at, you have to compile all that information, and you're on a clock. Yeah. You got to be very JTEs, and it's a lot, but it's one of those questions where it is a pretty straightforward question. It's just in this big old span of Martin Scorsese movies, only one wasn't nominated for an Oscar. That's actually pretty straightforward on its surface, but if you don't just flat out know it, you really you can get there.
Yeah, and also it's like, you need to know that Bring Out the Dead was 99 and not 2000. So it's not even like it was one of the ones that was in the middle of the decade where it's like it's clearly a 90s film. It's like this was the last film he did in the 90s.
And I'm sorry,
Oh, so the other thing I was like, I had actually, at some point in the past year, been confused about the director because I got it confused with Brian De Palma because Nicolas Cage did Snake Eyes with De Palma like a couple years later, and so for a little bit I'd misremembered that I'd thought that De Palma done Bringing Out the Dead, and I'd looked it up as like, oh no, Scorsese did Bringing Out the Dead, not De Palma, and I feel like in general they're fairly similar thematic.
I went.
That's why Carlito's Way. That's why I thought it was funny talking about Carlito's Way. It's like, and then also like when this question was first asked, I did have a moment of panic, and it took me that first JTE to collect myself. One of the first movies I thought about was one of the first movies I thought of was.
I don't want to talk about this question because I like this question.
Great movie, great.
Oh, was it one of the first movies
I thought of? To play.
Yeah, I know, right?
Sorry.
One of the first movies I thought of was Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is a Francis Ford Coppola film, and it took me until the entire before the first JTE, and I was like, what am I even thinking of? That's a Coppola. That's not even a Scorsese, but that's a Coppola film.
Also, it was not for Oscars.
Yeah, it was not for like at least for like makeup, right?
Makeup, costume design, a couple of things. I think maybe score is amazing in that film.
Yeah. And so but it was like it took me the first thing just even to start collecting my thoughts in terms of actually remembering the Scorsese films of the 90s.
I would like to say before we move on to those who have argued that it is not an Oscars question. It is. You have to know a lot about the Oscars in order to get that question right. Yeah. No, it is an Oscars question. It would be like if we gave you 6 names and 5 of them were nominated for Best Actor this last year, that is an Oscars question. Just tell me which one doesn't belong. That's not. It's an unusual way of thinking of an Oscars question, but that's what makes it great, because so many of the questions that we get in the Schmoedown are so straightforward. Who starred in this? What year did this come out? So if you can find a new angle to make us like think about the information a little differently, that really revitalizes the game, I think, and makes it different and new and exciting for the players and hopefully the people at home. So I think it's definitely an Oscars question. As for the question that's being asked right now, I love this question because every single thing about this question screams American Graffiti until until you get to the title. And then you're like, oh, it's Corvette Summer. Like, you know that like they want you to think it's American Graffiti. And then they say Corvette Summer and I'm like,
that's Mark Hamill. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I like that one. Yeah.
In 1978, Corvette Summer.
Mark Hamill.
Great movie.
I like the that Oscars one because it requires so much. It requires so much work from you on your end in order to pull the answer, because you have to think about categories other than just Best Picture, which is what a lot of people just automatically will go to in that kind of situation.
27 big points here, and
have either of you guys noticed what's happening here in the match, Chris and Robert?
The Barbarian will advance, and the Finstock Exchange will pick up 3 points, and the Barbarian.
He's
Shannon Miller, Mark.
I'm one question. I'm one question away from a perfect game. Without any multiple choices. So there's a lot of pressure on me right now.
Oh, has that been done before?
Not in singles.
And your question.
Ooh.
5 points into advance. The Ultimate Schmoedown Tournament. William, who directed Jodie Foster and Scott Baio in the 1976 gangster film Bugsy Malone?
Alan Parker.
Nice.
Yeah. Some people thought that was an easy one, but I think that's interesting because that movie is actually really popular in England, and it tanked in America, and almost no one saw it here. So some people are very familiar with it, and some people are not.
It's the lesser known of the Bugsy Malone films. Like the big Bugsy film was Bugsy from the 1990s, directed by Barry Levinson, which was asked about in the last title match.
And
like,
but that was a completely perfect game. I didn't even have.
And it's a weird film. Like Paul Williams did the music for it. It's a big wall-to-wall musical.
In order to do it,
at the time when we filmed this match, Alan Parker had only recently passed away, and we had pretty recently, within the last 3 months, done a podcast about Bugsy Malone. So it was. I think I would have known it anyway because I was familiar with the film, but that was kismet. That just worked out for me.
Oh, look, that's got to, and you know, you're dancing and you should be dancing because that was a over performance.
I honestly don't know if I would have gotten it correct because it's not a film that I would have studied. Alan Parker was a possible guess for me because because in my mind one of Alan Parker first really entered my mind when I was talking with Ethan Irwin about one of his matches where he was asked who directed Mississippi Burning, and I think it was like a 5-pointer. Well, yeah, that was a 5. Like, so it's like the fact that Alan Parker directing Mississippi Burning is a 5-pointer means that Alan Parker directing Bugsy Malone is very much a valid 5-pointer.
Sure.
Mississippi Burning from the 80s. This is from the 70s.
Mm-hmm. And you got to realize there's like the sliding scale where some people know nothing about movies from the 70s. So any 70s question that isn't about Rocky or Star Wars is a 5-pointer to them.
Yeah.
And that's just, this is why it's important to study everything. And I know some people think it's weird how much time I dedicate to movies that are a bit more esoteric, and I'm not watching Star Wars 50 million times. I settled for 49 million so I can make time to watch Bugsy Malone. And it's paying off, and I think it's doing a really good job of varying the questions and asking about different kinds of movies lately. And B, we're in this because we love movies, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Of course. I think one of the nice things about the pandemic, if there is a nice thing, which I say that with a very
silver lining. Let's just call it a silver lining.
A silver lining of the pandemic is that because there have been no new movies coming out, I've had to go back and like spend a lot of time watching old movies that I'd missed. And before we started the stream, I was bragging about the new shipment of Hitchcock films that I received. Like this is. I've been watching a lot of Hitchcock during the pandemic, and here's my new shipment that just arrived this weekend of Hitchcock films.
So no one put that on the wheel if you play the Barbarian.
Yeah, I mean, look. Well, I mean, I don't think anyone was planning to put that on the wheel against me anyway.
Surprised. I don't think anyone would do that to you. They would know you. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, just be scared that if you're playing me, be scared that I might put that on the wheel against you. That's what I
think. Like everyone should be studying Hitchcock. I saw someone like on social media talking about like, oh, Hitchcock isn't that hard to study for. You just study for like 5 or 6 movies, and I'm like,
he made 50 films.
He made 50 feature-length films, give or take, and about 40 of them are artistically or historically significant.
And they could ask you about any of the 50.
Yeah.
He actually made more than 50. But yeah, no, and they span over 50 years. His first one was like 1925, and his last one was 1976.
Mm-hmm. And he was making good movies that whole time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
While this is going on, real quick, PC dropped in a Streamlab saying, "Has anyone seen the Children's Hour? Thoughts? It's included on Amazon Prime till the end of the month. Just FYI."
I actually that came up in Brendan Meyer's match, and I actually hadn't seen that one. I was impressed that he got that one right. Brendan Meyer's knowledge always astounds me. He's so young and yet he knows everything.
Was that the question that they stumbled on, like in regards to like lesbians?
Yeah, he wasn't sure like the best way to phrase it based on the actual content of the movie, and it became a bit of a
controversy.
I wouldn't call it a controversy. Just like there was a bit of back and forth about it.
It was just funny that he was like, "Oh well, I wish I would have said that." I was like, "Well, no, I mean, come on. I mean, look. At the end of the day, though, it was, it was a very specific thing that the plot of the film was about. I mean, I haven't seen the film, but I knew what the answer was, and I mean, it's look, he won the match. Like, and I'm like, I'm not trying to, I think it was a fair question as well.
Oh, it's totally a fair question. Yeah. I haven't seen an unfair question in the Schmoedown in a long time. And I would actually argue that the only unfair questions I've ever really seen were questions that were actually wrong. Like they said wrong, and therefore they were looking for an answer that they didn't actually ask for, or maybe they were based on a superficial reading of the film, and they actually really didn't have a clear answer one way or another. It's been a long time since I've seen one of those, but they have popped up a couple of times.
You apparently didn't watch my Inner Geekdom match in the semifinals.
Which one was it again? I'm trying to remember what happened.
There were 2 incorrect questions in it.
Yes, you had a wrong movie release date that threw you.
There was a wrong movie release date for my 5-pointer.
Yeah, Gucci really should challenge that.
And in the first round, there was a miswritten name of a character.
Mm-hmm.
So the writers meant to ask about Captain Tarples, but they misspelled it. So Tarples asked about Captain Tarpays. And
was that a pronunciation issue, or did he spell it out?
Huh? So he mispronounced it.
I don't know.
I used the JTE, and then I asked him to spell it for me because I had no idea who Captain Tarpays was. And I was like, maybe he's and the fact. And the fact that I used the JTE. I'm very traumatized by it. I say that jokingly. It's like, look, I've accepted the law, but there was, and also, by the way, following that, they added, they made some changes to the writing staff, including adding a editor to make sure things like that didn't happen in the future, which I very much appreciate. And despite that typo in the question, Chance was able to get the question right without using a JTE. So let's, it was on me that I got thrown by that. If I would have known, did
you challenge it?
I didn't challenge it at the time because I didn't know that Captain Tarpays didn't exist. It wasn't until after the fact that I consulted with Andrew DeMolante. It's like, is there Captain Tarpays? He's like, no.
That sucks. Sucks. And that's the kind of thing where, you want your manager to step in, but they don't necessarily have the deep cut knowledge necessary to know that that's wrong that day. It's rough.
Yeah, and then my 5-point question that they referred to 300 as being a 2006 film when it's really a 2007 film. Also, because they asked for a 2006 film, I gave an answer about a film that was in 2006. and it was incorrect, and had they given the correct years, I wouldn't have given that answer, and very likely would have given the correct answer based on the rest of the clue. But at any rate, I don't mean to use this to complain about that. It's still, and again, it's something. Look, it's all.
There's a system in place to challenge these things, but it's on us to know
exactly
what to be challenged and why to be challenged, and that can be difficult to do. And and I don't blame the writers for that. That sometimes things are misread or whatever, and that can stink. And we're working on making the game better every single day.
Exactly. And it's the fact that my 2 losses have been, one because of a player threw a perfect game, which you can't do better than a perfect game, and 2 because there were some incorrectness in the questions that led to them making sure that questions moving forward are going to be correct. Let's look, that's all I can ask for. That's
even Jeopardy messes things up sometimes. Okay,
exactly. No, look, exactly.
And we move on. Someone put it up in the comment here. Can we put up the one about the Shazam question on the screen? The last unfair question in singles teams, I think, happened to Shazam. LOL. What movie did Angelina star in with Jon Voight besides Tomb Raider? It was her film debut at 11, and she was a cameo. I've heard this brought up a couple of times as a quote-unquote unfair question. I remember leaving the stage, and I think it was Sam Levine who said that was a 10-pointer. And I actually disagree with all of that. I think it is a 100% fair question. And the reason why is because at the time, Angelina Jolie was a slice on the wheel. And if someone has a slice on the wheel, like an individual, whether it's a director or an actor or whatever, their first film is always going to be a question someday. It was on us to know Angelina Jolie's first film. We knew it was a category.
Because of the Merc.
So, also
hard? Yeah, it was hard. Was it a fair 5? Yeah, it was a fair 5.
Yeah. And also, if she's on the wheel, what movies did she make with her dad? I think it's fair to ask. I wouldn't have known that answer. But
I thought I'd done my research on Angelina Jolie. I didn't. That is an obscure one, and it flew under my radar. It's not a mistake I'm going to make again. And every time a new wheel slice is added with any person's name, the first thing I do is, what was the first film they did?
Yeah, but here's the question, though. The way N7 Shepherd phrased that, he said that in what film did she star? Now, if that was the phrasing, then that's a challengeable, because if she was a cameo and they asked for a star, that's incorrect.
That would have been worth challenging. I don't recall if that was literally the way it was asked. If it was, probably could have challenged that. But who knows? Maybe it wouldn't have gone my way. What are you going to do? I mean, Jon Voight is a cameo in Tomb Raider.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Find out, because it is still going. All you guys need to do, make sure you comment matches and like the videos.
But exactly. And look, I I know that very recently in Ben Bateman's match against Merle, there was a lot of, hurt feelings about the whether or not his 2-pointer was fair as a 2-pointer, should have been a 3-point. And at the end of the day, I did chirp in on the film, the Facebook thing in his support, and I'll say it's look, Ben Bateman's a good friend of mine, and I wanted to support him there, but at the same time, it's if you want to be champion of the league, you need to know the answer to that question. It was just frustrating because Ben knows the answer to literally, in his career, he's been asked 40 questions and he's known the answer to 42-point questions, and he's known the answer to 95% of them.
And that's a great average.
Yeah, exactly. And
that doesn't mean you're entitled to get them all right, of course.
No, exactly.
But I can see why he'd be frustrated.
Yeah, when you're going into the final round with a 6-point lead, that means all you need to do is answer a 2 and a 3 to win the match. And when you have a 9, and when you know 95% of the answers of a 2 and a 3, and the fact that you get asked the 1 2-pointer that you don't know the answer to, it's extremely frustrating.
I get the frustration. The frustration is 100% fair. For me, it boils down to 2 things with that. Just not that we need to keep relitigating this, but for me, it boils down to 2 simple things, which is it's impossible to make every question equally the same difficulty because it's totally subjective. It's based on what you've seen, and we've all seen relatively difficult 1-pointers. and relatively easy 3-pointers and everything in between. So that's that. But for me, it boils down to this. It's a film in the 7th most lucrative film franchise ever, and it's popular now. The movie grossed like nearly $200 million worldwide, which is low for the franchise, but high for almost any other movie ever.
Yeah.
And it's a significant film within the chronology of the series because episodes 4 through 6 lead up to it backwards in time. So it's like asking if like who played Superman in Superman Returns and saying like Brandon Routh is an obscure actor because he didn't do a lot of movies. He was still in a Superman movie in the lead role.
Well, I mean, but I would say that, but that's the difference in there though, is that Superman Returns was released as a big tentpole film in the summer, whereas Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift is only important now because of how well the movies that came after it did. Whereas at the time, it was a film that was going to be released direct to DVD, and
so good they released it in theaters, and the tease at the end got people excited, so it actually saved the whole franchise.
Yeah, it did save
so
it saved the franchise. Yeah, well, exactly. But again,
this is a question about like what was the first appearance of Han in the Fast and Furious franchise, and the answer for that is actually Better Luck Tomorrow, which wasn't a Fast and Furious movie until afterwards.
That was a Justin Lin movie.
Yeah,
that's a 5-pointer. That is a tough 5-pointer. But just asking who starred in a Fast and Furious movie, that's never a 5. Maybe it's a 3. You would argue it's a 3. Fine, but I've seen 3s that are.
Oh yeah, no. I would never say. And by the way, I knew that answer. I love the Fast and Furious franchise. I knew that answer. I only spoke out about it. To defend him because people, I feel like on the Facebook group, people were acting like, oh, that was a huge movie. It's like, and here's the thing: I'm a huge Fast and Furious fan, and I have never seen Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. I know about it. I know.
Why haven't you? I'm curious.
Why haven't? Oh well, because
why wouldn't? If you're a fan of the franchise, why would you miss one?
Well, I mean, so I watched the first 2 in theaters, and the third one I had no interest in seeing when it came out. But then the fourth one I had interest in seeing, and I've watched them all since then in theaters. And just I own the box set of the films, and just haven't made time to go back and rewatch it. Of course, now that I've said this out loud, I'll watch it before the next time I have a match.
Yeah,
but I own the film. I will watch it.
I actually argue it is the best movie of the series. Is it the best action movie? No. Is it the best story of the series? I think it's number 1.
See,
it does have a good story to it. Yeah.
But I feel like the problem with the franchise is that, the problem with the franchise is that they did Fast 5 is such a perfect film that everything they've done since then has been, okay, how do we one up Fast 5? And they just keep, they're still fun, but they're less perfect and just more fun. It's like, okay, you're just being ridiculous now. And, but feel like,
No, I think 5 is a perfect action movie. I do. I think it's wonderful. But I think 3 is a better story.
Well, I cannot debate the two because I've never seen
encouraging it. I want other people. I will watch it. A wake-up call that gets more people to appreciate Tokyo Drift, and it will have done its job.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of things we want to knock out real quick because I know we're starting to hit some time here, and I know we got some stuff we want to move on to. Real quick, Bibbiani, I know first and foremost with you, your next match, you're taking on Liz Shannon Miller. How do you feel about that?
Scared. Liz, I think, is one of the most stealthily tough players in the league. She has only ever lost a match to people who went on to become champions.
Yeah.
I know her personally. We're friends, and I know how deep her knowledge is. But I also know, and this is the cool thing, she's not one of these competitors who only knows a lot about one thing. Like some people are just like, they have their specialties. Like, I really know action movies, or I really know inner geekdom. But like Liz is one of those people who just loves the medium and has been studying it for so long that she might not know everything, and you never know, a question might trip her up. But what do you put on the wheel to stump her? And that's a question I'm still figuring out. So that is a scary opponent to play because you have no idea what they're going to be. And that's how I felt against the Barbarian as well. So you just kind of have to go in and try to trust that your knowledge is as honed as it can be. Try to put strengths of yours on the wheel and hope that they come up. And just fight your way through it. That's the only thing you can do to someone who isn't relying on strategy to overcome a lack of knowledge. She just has the knowledge, and you just have to hope at some point in that game she's going to get a question or two that she doesn't know. That's the best thing.
Do you have any thoughts in regards to potentially renaming one of your cats in the hopes that the name of that cat would come up as a question in the Schmoedown?
No, I think I'll remember it pretty good. I think I'm good.
A couple of questions.
Oh, I would say briefly, just real quick. So yeah, Liz Shannon Miller is actually the person in the Schmoedown I've known either second or third longest. Ethan and Christian I've known since like 2004. So I guess I would put Liz as third longest. I met Liz in like 2005 on the set of independent pilot that Ethan's wife Meredith Bergerwin was writing and directing. It's a very fun pilot. But Liz was, I forget what her role was, but she was on the crew for that. And so she was at her first match. Her debut match was actually the first Schmoedown match I ever watched.
Oh wow!
So I actually owe a lot of my interest in the Schmoedown to her, because I ran into Ethan at a party that Liz actually was also at, and he was telling me about the Schmoedown, and then I was I saw the post about Liz's first match. Like, all right, I'll check this out, and I was playing along at home and did very well. I said, I could do this, but I didn't want to, say, hey, Christian, let me do that thing you like, but so it took me a while to get in to broach the subject with him. But that said, the fact that, Liz did that match and I watched it and enjoyed it and had fun, that it played a lot into me joining the league.
It's kismet. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
really
real
cool.
quick, I do want to hit some of these questions. Hamstrock is asking, would you challenge an uncredited appearance? When might that challenge be upheld, and when would it not be?
I think it depends on how the question is phrased. If you had asked, like, I don't know, Audrey Hepburn has a cameo in which Ealing comedy, and and you said like the Lavender Hill Mob, that would be fair. If you said, what Ealing comedy did Audrey Hepburn star in? That's not fair now, is it? Star implies a certain amount of screen time. Mm-hmm. Even that's kind of nebulous. We saw that in the Rachel Silvestrini match, where she put Sterling K. Brown as starring in that Blake Lively movie, The Rhythm Section. And yeah, he also starred in that, but like, that's vague. But like, I think as long as it's presented as a cameo or an appearance, as long as it's presented as this is an obscure thing, that would be fine, I think.
Yeah, and I think the only actual ones that are challengeable, in my opinion, are the ones that are unconfirmed. I know I've seen some things like, okay, well, it's uncredited, unconfirmed that he's in this, and if you're telling me it's like, well, we're going to act like it's confirmed when it's unconfirmed. I don't remember the exact. There's a few of those that are listed online.
I don't recall those. That's interesting. But like Hitchcock was never credited for any of his cameos. But if you asked, like, in which Alfred Hitchcock film will you see him get on a train with a bass fiddle? Yeah, okay, that's Strangers on a Train. Boom, done. Like, there you go. Like, that's fair,
Yeah.
I think that's definitely in the realm of, like, if it's a Hitchcock slice, then
that would be that's a tough one. Yeah. That would be a 5-pointer if it was a Hitchcock question, or like a round 2 question with multiple choice where it evens it out a bit. But that I think it's all a matter of how it is presented, I think.
Yeah. Well, and also it's like, just in another example, just like things where, like, a great example of why uncredited roles need to be counted in general is that the 1931 Best Picture winner Cimarron does not have a credited director. The director is Wesley Ruggles, but he's uncredited. Yeah. So if somebody asked who directed Cimarron, the answer isn't nobody. The answer is Wesley Ruggles.
Yeah. Or Kevin Spacey wasn't credited in 7 because he wanted his appearance to be a secret.
Yeah.
So if you asked who played John Doe in 7, the answer again isn't nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also asking, do either of you get worried that you miss an Elvis or Shazam question, respectively?
Terrified. I'm not gonna. I've had one since we named our team Shazam. It was who played the wizard Shazam, and it was Jaimin Hansu, and I was very lucky to get that. But that's the last question you want to miss.
I'm less concerned about Elvis and more concerned about Conan the Barbarian. So like. With the day I went and checked out the Schmoedown for the first time and met William and you know I came in with like 4 different ideas of what my character could be, and Christian Harloff saw me. We hadn't seen each other in person in like 10 years, and my hair had grown. Like I used to have very short hair, and it's clearly much longer now. And he saw me. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to call you the Barbarian." And so immediately after, the first thing I did when I went home was I watched Conan the Barbarian, which I'd never seen before. It's like I will be damned if I join a trivia league called the Barbarian and lose on questions about Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, that's how
I watched was Conan the Destroyer.
I was the same way. I was the same way with Beauty and the Beast when I got named the Beast. I was just like, I had to make sure I memorize. Yes, I knew it, but you got to memorize it. Have you watched all the Conan movies? Watched Conan, Conan the Destroyer, the other Conan the Barbarian, and Red Sonja?
Yeah,
the other Conan.
Yeah,
Conan takes Manhattan.
The 2011 piece of dog crap.
It's not a good film. Although Rose McGowan is really trying. Like she's really trying to save that movie. And
Jason Momoa does great, and they're What?
Yeah.
Stephen Lang.
It was Stephen Lang. Yeah. Morgan Freeman narrated it, uncredited if memory serves.
Yeah.
And
but he still narrated it, didn't he?
Still narrated it. But that's a fun.
So another question came up. Thought of this, AJ Lancaster with the Streamlabs. Thought of this after Hitchcock filmography came up. What other classic filmmaker deserves a slice, and why is it Sidney Lumet?
Well, Sidney Lumet actually does totally deserve a slice.
If you're going classic filmmakers, the three biggest. I mean, we got John Ford, who's won the most Best Director nomination or the most Best Director Oscars at 4. You got William Wyler,
most nominations.
And Billy.
And Billy, but also I would throw in there Frank Capra.
Frank Capra. I don't know why
Frank Capra absolutely deserves his own slice. Yeah. If we're adding people beyond that, I would say
Frank Lloyd,
Ernst Lubitsch, Akira Kurosawa. Akira Kurosawa should have his own slice. I would love that slice. Don Siegel, I would love to see have his own slice, although maybe I'm the only one who'd fight for that.
I mean, I'd love to see a Joe Dante slice.
A William Castle slice.
Yeah,
that would be.
Ethan Irwin would dominate that. The Silver Pictures had a horror label called Dark Castle, specifically named after William Castle.
And their first several films were remakes of William Castle classics. And that'd be Corman. Corman. Corman should have a slice. Of course he should. That'd be amazing. Yeah. People would hate us if we put those slices on the wheel. You have an idea like how many like younger players would be like, I have to watch how many Roger Corman movies?
Oh no!
He conquered the world, and I'd be like, "Yeah, and you should too."
Let's go one step further. How about a trauma slice?
How many of those were theatrically released?
Not as many as you might think. Not as many as you might think. So that's actually that's a fun trivia category, but I don't think it'd be great at a Schmoedown.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. Dario Argento would be a fun one. That's not that classic. It's 70s onward, but still. Sergio Leone.
Yeah.
Sergio Leone. He says enough movies to warrant a slice. As much.
Here's a fun trivia question for you, Bibbs. You mind if I call you Bibbs?
No. Right. Everyone calls me Bibbs. It's fine.
So the based on the new movie release dates of it has to be the U.S. theatrical release date, regardless of when the films were actually made. All 3 of the Man with No Name films were released theatrically in the United States in the same year. Can you guess the year?
I'm trying to think now. Was it 64?
No, it was 67. 64 was when the first. 64 was when the first one was released in Italy. They went 64, 65, 66 in Italy, and then they were all released in 67 in the same year in the U.S.
Clarifying, this is one of the things where I was part of the committee to, help update the rule book, and clarifying like what movie release date year is official was definitely a conversation that was had. So that's something that will definitely be 100% cleared up on the books for next season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I've said it before on some shows that I think that we should use what the Academy uses for movie release dates.
That's absolutely the conversation that we had. And listen, it's not going to be perfect. There are movies that were released internationally in one place and America in another, and it's still going to be a little confusing. But at some point, we do have to just say this is the release date, and it needs to be something we can look up if there's a discrepancy. Yeah. There we go. That's resolved. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say or reveal about what's in the rule book, but that's definitely been resolved.
Yeah. I just know that at one point I was told, okay, well, it's going to be when the wide release. I was like, that's not going to work for Oscar season at all. That doesn't. By that 1917 was a 2020 film, even though it was nominated for Best Picture of 2019.
Exactly. No, that's I assure you that's not what's happening.
All right, perfect.
So, I can't. I don't want to. I assure you it makes sense. It was a total consensus on that one.
Good.
Yeah.
So we need to start wrapping this up. So if we start with some plugs, Bibbiani, if you want to get some plugs in real quick.
Okay, so if you're interested, and I sure hope you are, I host a series of podcasts over at the critically acclaimed network. Many of them are free, and there you can get on the same iTunes or wherever you get your podcast channel. Critically acclaimed, where we review new movies. We've got mail, where we answer a fan mail. Episode 0, where we talk about the prehistory of Star Wars. We review the films that actually inspired Star Wars rather than just focus on what actually happened in a Star Wars film. We've got Cancel Too Soon, where we talk about movies that were canceled after one season or less. We also have a series called My Dinner with Andre, where we ask other people to watch My Dinner with Andre and then have a conversation about it. And also we have a patreon.com/critically acclaimed network, where we have a ton of exclusive content, including our new series, Holy Batman, WHOLLY. And there we are reviewing every single episode of the 1960s Batman series. We have all our yesterdays. We're reviewing every single episode of Star Trek in production order. We have Only the Best. We're reviewing every single film ever nominated for Best Picture. We have Not on Disney Plus, which I mentioned earlier, where we talk about stuff that Disney is not releasing for some reason. We do commentary tracks. Stuff. It's the tons of stuff. Basically, we do a lot of stuff. So anyway, it's over there. Critically Acclaimed Network is the free stuff. Patreon.com/critically acclaimed network is all of the bonus material. And if you sign up now, there's probably at least 75 hours worth of backlog to catch up on. So you get bonus, I hope,
for all your quarantining needs.
Basically, I lost a lot of work, so we've had a lot of time to make podcasts.
Hey, look, here's the thing. Theaters are opening back up, but there's no movies to go see in them anyway, so stay home still and watch Critically Acclaimed.
There you go. Or listen, really. We don't do a lot.
Or listen, yeah.
Barbarian, if you got stuff you want to plug.
Why'd you phrase it like that?
I'm assuming you want to plug. I mean,
I'm just saying you phrased it like, if you have anything. All right. All right, I'll say a couple.
Tell us your wares.
Yeah. All right, so I can be found on Facebook. I don't know why I said Facebook first, but if you guys want to be my friends on Facebook, I can be found there. I can be found on Twitter at Barbarian Craig, and I can be found on Instagram at cfgaynier. C as in Craig, F as in Frank, G as in Gagnier, Gaynier, which is French for winning. And I can be found on Twitch at Mogwai417. Mogwai is in the gremlin, the creepy gremlins were before they became creepy. And exactly. Anyway, but and then I'll say this. Some people have said that this ends my season, but season's not over yet. That's all I'll say.
Who can say? Very exciting. And also, I'm on Twitter at William Bibbiani, but it's been on screen this whole time.
Yeah.
So, real quick stuff we want to plug that we want to get in there. Make sure you follow us. We are at Cinefanatics MLP, Robert Adams MLP, Chris Adams MLP. Come join us on Tuesdays. It is the tagline, the show where the tagline is the title. We talk about movies and movie-related stuff. That is going to be tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central Time, 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern. This is the last week, I believe, for Two Stream Tuesdays. So the Schmoedown is no longer streaming going on 4 nights a week after this week. So that it will be moving back to its regular time at 9:30 Central. This Friday, I want to plug this one importantly. This Friday, over on Call to Action, they are doing the Last General Standing. This is going to be basically a free-for-all with Call to Action and members of the general Patreon tier of the Action Army of Action Industries. We have, both myself and my brother have been made generals of the Action Army. We will be over there this coming Friday. We are participating in the Last General Standing. So come back to that over on Call to Action. It's going to be a blast.
Ooh.
So much fun over there for that.
Why were you in the art for that? I didn't see you in the art for that.
Because we only made it known that we were participating in this as of last night. So that's what we're doing on Friday. So come back for that. And we do have Schmoedown Replay continuing for the rest of this week. The other one I do want to plug real quick is Wednesday night. That is going to be Adam Collins' match. We will be joined by Adam Collins and his manager, Shannon Barney, on the Schmoedown Replay. So that's going to be another fantastic episode.
I'm already sweating.
But not nearly as good as this one, I would say.
Oh, no.
No, this is the first time we've gotten the actual 2 competitors in the match in the stream. So this is fantastic. It's going to be a whole different perspective because that one's going to be the player with their manager. So it's going to be kind of interesting to get that kind of dynamic as well behind the scenes. But this one has been fantastic. I've loved this replay episode. This is easily like one of my favorites.
Thanks.
But before we go, can I just say briefly? Let's give it up. Let's give a huge hand to William Bibbiani. Putting together the first ever 27 points up, 27 points down match and a 3-round showdown history. That is an incredible feat.
Thank you.
Look, and here's the thing. I think that any match in which any competitor answers all of their questions correctly it's technically a perfect game. And I don't take that away from anyone that's done it beforehand. But I think the fact that this is the first one where a competitor's been pushed to get all those 27 points, every possible point in the first round, every possible point in the second round, and every possible point in the third round. It's an astounding feat. And I am honored to have been a part of it. Even though I lost the match, the fact that I was a part of this historic match, I'm very proud of. And congratulations, William. And good luck in your team's title match against Corruption.
And may I just say in return, Barbarian, thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. And that is how good you are at this game already in your first season, that the only way to beat you is to break a record. And I thoroughly believe that it's only a matter of time before you pull the similar feat, because you are very intimidating. You know a ton, and I respect the living hell out of you. And thank you so much for not only being a great competitor, but also a great person and a wonderful addition to this league. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you.
I do want to take a moment myself and also say that's a big props. I mean, it's a big props to both of you. And I say this because, one, Bibbs, you broke the record. And then Barbarian, you are the one that got him to the point to be able to break. Because it's hard. It's hard to get every question right because usually you win before you hit that 5-pointer.
Yeah.
And so in order to get that perfect match, you've got to get to that 5-pointer to be able to answer it. So this was a great match between both of y'all, honestly. It was a fantastic match. It's
one of the matches it may be the match I'm most proud of in the Schmoedown. It's certainly right up there. It's like this and the free-for-all, maybe the top two. So they're so good. So thank you for everyone. And seriously, Barbarian, you're going to go real far. It's only a matter of time. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyways, to those of y'all watching, thank y'all for watching. Thank you for participating in the chat. It's been great having y'all here. And a huge shout out to both William the Beast Bibbiani and Craig the Barbarian. Thank y'all for being on here. This has been a fantastic episode. Thank y'all for being here. Ooh, I don't know. I can't say enough good things.
Well, thank you for having us. I love your show, and it's always a pleasure.
Thank you guys. You guys were great.
Yeah. Anyways, that's gonna do it for tonight. Thank y'all for watching again. It's been a fantastic episode. Come back again tomorrow night, and we will see y'all later. Good night.